Hello everyone, this is Nayla speaking for the Girl with the Curly Hair project, and today I would like to talk to you about shapeshifting, which is a common problem amongst females with autism, and how to recognize it. In the past we've done blogs and vlogs on shapeshifting, but in a nutshell it's when a person changes or adapts his or her own personality to match the personality of the person they are communicating with or being social with. They do this for two reasons. The first one is that the person with autism wants to be accepted and liked. By mimicking the behavior of the person who you're talking to, gives you a greater chance to be accepted and to be liked. Secondly, it also reduces stress greatly. When you copy and mimic the behavior of others, it doesn't create conflicts. It doesn't create stress, so the stress levels are kept to a bare minimum. However, on the other hand, the person who portrays the mimicking and the shapeshifting might be seen as fake or flake or unreliable because they switch personalities according to the people they're seeing. And on the other hand as well, and I've read a lot about this, and this does happen an awful lot to women with autism, is that they lose track of their own personality. They're so accustomed to shape-shifting and camouflaging their own self. In the long run, and I'm saying in the long run because this does take several years to achieve, they lose track of who they really are. Shape-shifting is never done on a conscious level. It is always done subconsciously, and the person doing it is often not aware that they're doing it at a particular point in time. So pointing it out in a gentle and kind way might be helpful for other people to recognize they are shape-shifting and to understand that they don't need to shape-shift to be accepted. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to work with that. Let me point out beforehand that recognizing someone who is shape-shifting is not easy. It takes time and really takes to get to know them on a deeper personal level. Okay, so tip number one is get to know them. Really. I've done a vlog about first impression where you meet someone and based on that first impression you form a picture of them and you judge them accordingly. This is plain human psychology. It's what everyone does. Well, mostly everyone. The tricky part with shapeshifting is when a person meets you and you act and behave a certain way, they will automatically expect you to repeat that behavior because shapeshifting is not a very common term and not a very common behavioral act that people are familiar with. So when you don't do that, people will start to question you. Now, how does that work with autism? So you have a female with autism. Let's take me, for example. When people will first meet me, they will see someone who is extroverted and social and very verbally talented. What they don't see is that I actually need to be alone. I love drawing and I'm a big fan of Doctor Who and I'm all into quantum physics. When people gradually get to know me, and when I tell them I don't want to go out, I don't want to go to parties, I don't want to go to a bar or a pub, they will be shocked. Because according to the first impression they had of me, I was very social. And for a lot of people, that can mean the end of a friendship because they feel like they've been betrayed. However, if you know the person has autism, the trick here is to hang on. You're starting to get to know the person. So, in the long run, when you get to know someone with autism, they're starting to feel more comfortable in showing you bits and pieces of their own self. And by acknowledging that, and by validating that, they will be more prone to showing you their true selves rather than mimicking or copying your own behavior for reasons of being accepted and such. But getting to know a person with autism takes time, patience, and understanding. So when you meet someone with autism, know that the first impression you have of them might not be the final impression you have of them. The tip number 2 is don't be afraid to address them when you see their shape-shifting. Tricky one. You can't just point out to someone and go, you're not being your own self. It's very offensive, and the person in question might react defensive. Let me illustrate this with an example of a friend of mine. He's male, but he does shape-shifting as well. And he was working at a fair with his wife, and he had to talk to several people. His wife was with him. He changed personality with each and every person he was with. And his wife was quite baffled about this, how fast he changed personality to match the personality of the person he was talking to. She asked him later on when they got back home, "What is that? Can you explain this to me? Because I am confused." And he did. So a few questions that you can ask a person who is autistic and who you think might be shape-shifting are this. I've noticed you seem to change behavior sometimes. I don't see it in other people and was wondering why you do that. I'm just curious, can you explain this to me? Or, I was wondering, are you comfortable being yourself around other people? I know many people have issues with that, and I was wondering about yourself. When asking those questions, you keep a low profile and you show to the person with autism you want to learn about why they do the things that they do. When you tell them you are shape-shifting, I don't like that, you're not really making an effort into getting to know them and showing them that you want to get to know them. You're just sort of like criticizing their behavior, and that will make them worry and ruminate about how they need to change their behavior in order to match yours. So asking is better than telling. All right, tip number 3 is to discuss the need for shape-shifting and why they feel it's necessary. Like I said, a lot of people with autism don't do this consciously, and it's not always easy for them to accept it. When I say to discuss it and why it's necessary, this might even need a therapist, because it's very often it's something that's been going on for years, and the person with autism does it so automatically that they can't realize who they are anymore. And they might understand why they're doing it, but that might need professional help. However, sitting down and asking about it again is showing you want to learn about it, is showing that you're open to understand why this is necessary for them, because it's necessary for them. And that will make the person with autism feel as if they're wanted, accepted. So that's very important. And tip number 4 is don't be angry when you see a person with autism change personality in front of you. Going back to the example with the male friend I have and the changing personalities with each different person he spoke to, and his wife seeing that, she didn't get angry with him. It's a subconscious mechanism, almost a defense mechanism against getting hurt, getting bullied, not being accepted, not being validated. So this happens on such a deep level and so quickly that when you get mad, like, you're always changing personalities, you're so fake, the person with autism will withdraw even further within themselves, stack another layer on top, and change their behavior to match your behavior when they're with you, so you won't get mad at them. So you're sort of like getting the opposite result of what you really want to achieve. Behind the mechanism of shape-shifting is this incredibly deep desire to be accepted, to be loved, to be validated by other people. And getting angry at that will cause them to completely shut down and not want to show their true and honest selves to you. Tip number 5 is validate, value, and acknowledge. VVA. Because a lot of people with autism have had a lot of negative feedback, a lot of negative experiences with being social, maintaining friendships, contact, verbal expressions, and so on and so forth. If you see that they're revealing their true self and it gets you confused, validate, value, acknowledge. For example, you have a daughter of 15 with Asperger's syndrome, and you're taking her and some of her school friends to the zoo. They're going to the zoo. And you notice that in the car, she's being completely different with those other girls. You've never seen her like that, and it's very confusing. And you drop them off, and you pick them back up, and you drive all the girls home. And in the car, your daughter tells you, I am so exhausted. I have been social all day, and I don't know how to cope with this. You can tell her, well, it's your own fault for being who you're not, or pretending you're something you're not. Or you can tell, I can understand that you're feeling very tired. Validate. It must have been incredibly difficult for you to maintain that kind of social level all day. Value. And it'll be good for you to be home where you can be your own self without people expecting other things of you. Acknowledge. In that one sentence, you have a lot of value, validation, and acknowledgement, and it will make her feel as if she's an actual person by her own self. Rather, when you tell her, well, it's your own fault, you shouldn't pretend to be something you're not, she will feel she's at fault for pretending she's social, but she will also feel she's at fault for telling you. So it's always important to be open-minded and not judge or get angry about this. So in short, I will repeat the 5 tips I'm giving you. Get to know them. Takes an awful lot of time, but definitely well worth it. Take it small steps and be open-minded and validate themselves. Don't be afraid to address them if they're showing shape-shifting signals, but do so in a questioning manner in which you show them you are curious to learn about them and why they do the things that they do. Discuss the need for shape-shifting and why they feel it is necessary or not necessary. Again, this may need professional help, but showing again that you want to understand why they do this will make them more prone to open up to you because they feel validated in their own self. Don't be angry when you see your ASD loved one change personality right in front of you. This will make them want to crawl further into themselves when you get angry, and they will change their personality to avoid that anger in the future. Be kind, and they will open up to you. Validate, value, and acknowledge. That doesn't need any further explanation. This was Nela for the Curly Hair Project. I hope you're all okay, and I wish you a fine day. Bye.